Warning: Alan and JJ Johnson are not professional comedians. During this program, you will be exposed to unfiltered dad jokes in their most potent and raw form, dads telling them to each other. Watching this video may lead to serious physical harm, including facepalm concussions, head-shaking whiplash, and uncontrollable groaning. Proceed at your own risk.
Hey everybody, I'm Alan.
And I'm JJ.
And this is Two Dads and a Joke. And we're here to give you a 6-pack of dad jokes with just a little shot of parenting advice. And today, we're sharing mistakes we want our kids to avoid.
Oh, yes.
This is gonna get really, tight.
Might get heavy.
Yeah, and so I got a little bit of a theme to my jokes this week because I'm looking at some things I've done that were mistakes I made, and I'll talk about those mistakes a little bit later. But you might figure them out what these mistakes were by my jokes. So my first joke is, who's the king of the wood shop?
I don't know.
The ruler.
Come on.
Got to measure twice, cut once. It's the ruler. It's the king of the wood shop. Come on, man.
All right. Speaking of mistakes, so we're coming up on Christmas season. You love Christmas, right?
Yeah, I love Christmas.
Great.
It's
Yeah. And so, do you know why Christmas trees are so bad at knitting?
Why are Christmas trees so bad at knitting?
Because they always drop their needles.
That sounds good though, because I had wood shop, you had trees.
Trees.
Together. We don't
Kinda
play
got
these
together.
things, folks.
A little bit.
That's the high quality you get on Two Dads and Joke. We don't play in the jokes. So
That's
that
right.
it's authentic. That's my authentic.
You don't know
emotion to
mine,
a
I don't
joke.
know
Yeah,
yours,
right.
and it's all on the fly.
And so something else that's authentic about JJ and I, we're both authors. We're working on books out there in the marketplace, and this is the last week of the NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writing Month, and we're down to the wire, and quite frankly, we're recording this in advance, so we're both hoping we're actually done by the time this comes out. But so JJ, what are you working on right now for NaNoWriMo?
I'm working on book 3 in my Iggy and Oz middle grade series, and it's called Iggy and Oz: The Living Snot. It has been an absolute blast to write. There's just something about writing middle grade fiction and using middle grade humor that's just fun for me. Maybe it's just because I'm a big kid inside. I don't know, but I'm having a blast writing it.
You are a big kid, totally, and that snot thing. I mean, with all the stuff you were hacking up last week, that was a thing. I'm sure. Well, I'm working on book 3 of the Towers of Light series, and the working title is called Fear No Evil. And so my kids, they've gotten into some pretty hairy situations, a lot of evil going on. So it's going to be interesting. I had a whole brainchild this morning that really hooked me. So I'm looking forward to getting that out there. But if you're interested at all, we have a way you can get a free copy of the first book in the Towers of Light series, Light of Mine, along with some awesome. You see these weapons here: the spear, shield, sword. Well, they're key items in the story. And when my kids were little, they had a Lego me. They would walk around with a little Lego that was them. So your kids could get a Lego me with shiny shield, sword, and spear. Along with the book, if you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. for Follow Friday. So be watching that out there on the social media. Speaking of social media, I know that you and I have been talking a little bit about all the little memes and things coming out for Disney Plus, The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But, it all comes from the classics, right? Like Episode 4, Episode 5. That's the real Star Wars, right?
That's right. That's the real ones.
I mean, they're doing okay. I'm good with the
I'm
good with the
They're doing good.
But, it does bring up some jokes, those original Star Wars, So,
Really?
So, yeah. What's the internal temperature of a Tauntaun?
I have no idea.
Lukewarm.
Oh, come on.
Now I gotta give that up. That's from Instagram, JJ. That was not my own thing, and that was Keisha Loving on Instagram with the lukewarm. All right, there we go.
Absolutely. And if anybody wants to send us a dad joke to tell on the show, you go ahead and either send it to me, Alan, or put it out there and tag us on Two Dads and a Joke, and we'll mention it on the show. So, I was keeping it, with my Christmas thing, but also along the same lines of warm and stuff. What did the gingerbread put on himself at night to keep warm?
What did the gingerbread put on himself to keep warm?
A cookie sheet. Oh, we're bombing tonight.
Yeah. That
Although I do admit the lukewarm was a good one. That really got me.
But coming back to my theme for tonight about things to avoid. Who I won't play poker with?
Who's that?
A plumber. You know why?
No.
They always find a way to a flush.
Oh, come on. Seriously?
That's what you hire a plumber for. Come on. That's a good one.
All right.
Well, the reason I bring that up is we wanted to talk about things, mistakes we've made that we wanted to avoid. And one of the big mistakes I made, when we got married, we were talking about money previous couple weeks, but really we got in a lot of debt for silly reasons. When we were young and we were starting out, we got into debt for a lot of silly reasons. And I think one of the things that I mentioned my mom on the last show, learning how to build things and stuff like that. There are a lot of cases where I probably could have done the work, or I could have learned it. At the time we didn't have YouTube when my kids were little and the family was young, but there was this thing called the library.
Yeah.
And the other thing is there were friends and other family members and whatnot that had tools and whatnot. And so there was a possibility I could have not gone into as much debt to do some of the projects I did by looking things up myself and that kind of thing. But I also, so when I think about things I want my kids to avoid, it's really figuring out those things where you can build a skill yourself so you don't have to spend the money, so you don't end up in debt for basic stuff that maybe you ought to know how to do anyway, right? You ought to know how to flush a toilet.
Yeah.
Right? Clearing a toilet that's plugged, you can usually do that unless you got something really serious going on. And so I think that's my thing, is giving them basic skills in life to avoid unnecessary debt for basic repairs and things like that, but also just spending your money better. How about you, JJ?
Well, along the same lines, just, learning to educate yourself on just basic things you can do around the house and stuff like that. But, one of my biggest mistakes was, and a lot of people know this, I actually have a blog post on my blog called Beyond the Rift. And, I actually failed out of high school. A lot of people don't know that,
Wow.
And so I failed out of high school. I didn't try in high school. I didn't care about high school. I was in a punk rock band. I was gonna, I had life all planned out. It didn't work out. And then I walked in high school to graduation, and then found out like 3 days later that I didn't graduate. I didn't have enough credits.
Oh, wow.
And so instead of just going back to school, I just went to work at this plant called, it was just a toilet paper factory. Mm-hmm. And, I had a family that came, kind of under me and took me under their wing. And, they had figured out what was going on. Because everybody say, oh, are you going to college? I say, no, I'm not going to college. I'm taking a year off, and I just make excuses. Mm-hmm. And they took me under their wing, and they bought me a correspondence course from the University of Oklahoma. And they helped me get those final 2 credits to graduate. And I graduated high school on Halloween night, 1997, with a 1.87 GPA. And then they helped me get into college. And then they helped me transfer to Oklahoma Baptist University. And they taught me how to really, I could do the work. I was smart enough. I just didn't try. And so the 2 biggest lessons that I want my kids to learn from my mistake is, number one, is not necessarily trying in school. That's a different issue. I want my kids to do well in school. But the big thing that I want my kids to learn is that sometimes in life, there's people that come along beside you and they just want to bless you, and it's okay to let them. Sometimes I think that we think, well, if I let them do this for me, I'm going to be in debt to them. And sometimes that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes you just need to let people help you. You need to let people bless you in a unique way. Because sometimes, the majority of the times, God has placed them right there in your life in order to get you out of this mess. And you need to be able to recognize that. And so that's one of the biggest things I want my kids to learn from my mistake, because for a long time, I wouldn't let anybody help me because I was stubborn. I wanted to do it on my own, but I was also guilty, and I was also keeping all that a secret. So I think that, for me, that's one of the biggest lessons I want my kids to learn right there.
That is an amazing lesson, just letting people help, because it's easy to get prideful and not accept help from people.
Right.
You know, and that really takes us kind of to the close of tonight. You know, sometimes you just you gotta take a step back and look things over. You know, and so, like, you know, there was this electrician, and he went on a date with a girl, and he decided he didn't want a second date. You know why?
Why is that?
There was no spark.
Alright, I'll give you that one. That was a good one. So, alright, speaking of pride, do you know what Santa's most impolite reindeer is?
What is Santa's most impolite reindeer?
Rudolph.
Oh, I should have known that one.
That one right there is a facepalm, man.
Ouch. That was painful.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, everybody, this has been Alan.
And I'm JJ.
This is Two Dads and a Joke, and we'll catch y'all next time.
See ya.